Grandstand. ABC Grandstand. On radio, online, and on digital radio.
There's a break here. He's over! He's charged onto the ball. He's going to score under the post. He's got the pace. He's going to score the try here, I think. He's knocked it on, and it's a try. He's dangerous. He throws a dummy. He's stepping. He's going to score if he gets a pass away. What a try.
Welcome to the Clubhouse with Patrick Foulkes on ABC Grandstand Digital.
Hello and welcome to the Clubhouse. Patrick Foulkes is my name in the Grandstand studio. Thank you for joining me today. We've got a packed show. We're going to have a little review of the Wallabies' performance against France, and understandably there'll be a lot of disappointed Wallabies fans after the weekend effort. But we're also going to talk to Edward Doyle and Ryan Tzrbojevich from Warringah Rugby Club. Warringah recently, in 2011 last year, they took a rugby tour to Kenya and did a lot of fantastic work in Kenya, working with local communities and schools, as well as playing some rugby. And in January of 2013, just next year, which is not too far away, they're heading to Cuba on a bit of a rugby/humanitarian tour. So it's a rugby tour with a difference. And the two guys are going to join me in the studio to have a bit of chat about the tour itself, their experiences of Kenya, and what you can do to help if you want to donate to Warringah's tour of Cuba. And Cuba was just recently smashed by Hurricane Sandy, as well as our friends on that side of the United States. But we're having that chat soon, so hang around for that, because it's going to be a worthwhile chat.
On ABC Grandstand Digital, the Clubhouse. The Clubhouse with Patrick Foulkes.
The rugby tour is an instrumental part of our great game and has been occurring all over the globe since the game's inception. The Warringah Rugby Club, hailing from Sydney's northern beaches, have added to the extra joys of touring by going to places that rugby tours rarely go. In 2011, Warringah toured to Kenya and did a remarkable work off the field there in providing aid to communities across the country there. And now the club will be heading to Cuba in early 2013, which was recently devastated by Hurricane Sandy. To talk more about that, I am joined in the clubhouse now by the club captain of Warringah, Edward Doyle, and Ryan Tzrbojevich. Guys, thank you very much for joining me in the clubhouse today.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
First of all, let's talk about your previous trips. I mean, I understand that, as I said in my intro there, you guys did tour Kenya, which must have been a completely different rugby touring experience, considering a lot of clubs go to America or the UK or New Zealand. Going to Kenya, what was that like?
Yeah, it was incredible. It was, you always think about going on these rugby tours, and then Kenya popped up, and it was just something that obviously you want to do in your life, but to do it with a rugby tour was just fantastic. And when we landed, it was just the initial shock was amazing, and took us 48 hours to get there because of flight delays, and then we had to play the next day. But it wasn't so much the rugby, which was the main memory from the trip. It was we went out to the slum called Kibera, which is the largest urban slum in Africa. It's over 1 million people crammed into a size, roughly the area of 2.5 square kilometres. We went in there, and we, along with Oasis Australia, visited a school in there. And just to go in there and for the boys to experience that was just, it was remarkable. It was something that all of us were so touched by and we'll never forget.
Ryan, in terms of your experience there, it must have been very different. I mean, we were talking off air about where you went to school, and St Stanislaus in Bathurst, of which our schools frequently battled. But it's a completely different experience seeing that level of poverty. How did you feel?
Drained. Emotionally drained. I think all the players found it tough, a lot tougher than we expected. Kenya was a very left field idea. Two of the main organisers of this whole touring idea was Phil Parsons and Pete Hammond, and they decided that if the club's going to tour, we're going to do it properly. We're going to do it, one, to develop ourselves in the club as players, but as also men. Enjoy the rugby and showcase what rugby's about. And I don't think many of us before Kenya realised the magnitude of what we'd be doing. We built a bridge for the community in Kibera, which crosses a stream which, for all intents and purposes, was just
a toilet.
A toilet, yeah. And that bridge is still there now, and it serves the community. that was arranged all in Australia by Pete Hammond and the touring guys fundraising and getting that money together. We also built a library for the kids, and most of them hadn't seen books before, and I think that's where it really hit home to us, when they hadn't seen a book, and we take them for granted. The local community on the beaches has been fantastic with what we've been doing and achieving, donating whatever they can. It's not great times for people and businesses, but we just we took 1,000 books, I think it was, Ed. It was just a great experience for us. Those kids just relished every moment with us, and we did the same. We felt privileged to be part of their lives.
And you also jumped in and did a bit of some education. I know you're a teacher, but it must have been quite different to teach kids who probably had never experienced education at that level before.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was studying to be a teacher at the time, so it was just so good getting out the front and just talking to the kids, and it was just incredible. They just wanted to know everything about Australia, and we were actually quite surprised how much they knew for how young they were. And
really?
Really quite smart. And then, again, it breaks your heart because you're like, oh, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Doctor, pilot, all these sorts of things. And, I mean, I think the average wage in there is less than $1 a day. So, but it was just amazing. I think one of the stories, or one of the memories was we were walking in, or before we went in, we got briefed just to say, just be careful, there's a lot of germs, a lot of disease in there, so sort of do the shake and bake thing rather than shake their hands when you see them. You're walking in, just shaking and baking, and then, I mean, within 5 minutes, we're just hugging the kids, they're all over us, we're reading them books, and just all that
just
sort
went
of
out the door.
Went out the door straight away. So, yeah, it was amazing.
And now also you engaged, obviously it was a rugby tour, there was some rugby play, but you did a rugby clinic, and I've got on my information here that 800 kids rocked up on the first day.
Yeah,
I mean,
outrageous, mate.
How do you do a clinic for 800 kids?
You don't. It was a free-for-all of just whatever we can do.
Yeah.
Again, it was just playing. They just, everywhere we went, people just wanted to play, be a part of it, something different. They're very athletic, extremely good at pretty much anything they take up. Very proud people, the Kenyans were, and I imagine the Cubans will be the same.
I think with that, we were expecting 50, we got 800, and I think the day was summed up by the radio station coming down with a double-decker bus, and at the end of a very exhausting 800 kids rugby clinic, the radio DJ was like, all right, now it's time for the dance-off. So we had to get on top of the double-decker bus and dance, and the Kenyan kids took us to school, but one of our guys was moonlighting as a stripper at the time, so he had a few moves which saved us, but that just summed up the day.
Well, people do many things to get money to go and do it.
Well, you've got to put bread on the table, I guess. Now, let's talk about the rugby there, because you did receive a lot of media coverage in Kenya, and also here, the Manly Daily focused on you guys as well. But you would have been providing an example of what the game can provide. I mean, obviously, I'm sure it would have felt just like a very weird experience to be playing rugby when you'd just been doing all this work with kids. But how did you feel playing? I mean, you played the Kenyan national side.
Yeah, it was one of the Kenyan national sides, and I think when we were going over, we were all expecting, we've seen them in the sevens, just sort of like a fast-flowing game, but they were really big and strong, and they really took it to us. I think we started both games really well, but then the altitude and all that got to us. But it was just incredible scenes on the sideline, people everywhere, so vocal. I think at one stage a little scuffle on the field broke out, and someone came onto the field with a glass bottle, but that was quickly shooed away.
Right, very enthusiastic crowd. There was
a
few thousand people, and Kenyan rugby, there is some basic infrastructure, and in a way we helped them showcase what rugby can be. They took it, they loved it. The media over there, the rugby community in Kenya embraced the whole concept of it, and it was tough. It was tough for us. They didn't make it easy at all.
Well, that's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to where you guys are going in January. I mean, you're going to Cuba, and just recently, I mean, a lot of the coverage in the media, probably because most of the broadcasters were taking feeds from the United States, which was also obviously quite badly hit, but Cuba kind of got passed up and was only mentioned in passing. but they were right really in the wake of the storm. And at one point, I've got it here, 110 miles per hour winds, which is just 1 mile per hour short of a Category 3 hurricane. But I'm sure at that point it doesn't really matter. It would feel pretty bad. Apparently the Santiago, Cuba's second largest city, just looks like it's been heavily bombed. You guys are going there. Is that a bit intimidating, going to a country that's been so recently devastated?
Intimidating, yes, to a certain extent. Makes our what we had in mind as a project, it's just doubled, basically, or tripled. When we go away, we target projects that will directly affect people. So we can go into a school or like we did in Kibera with the bridge. We'd had our projects sorted and we'd raised funds to pay for those projects. But in the wake of Sandy, Oxfam, who we've teamed up with, have just put out the SOS saying, look, we need as much money as we can get. Oxfam are in charge of putting the roofs back on the houses of those affected, and they've got 800 houses they've got to fix at a cost of...
It's about $800, isn't it, per roof?
$800 roof, and they've got to raise $800,000 US, and we can't do that. We're not. But anything we can contribute is awesome, and that's what we're trying to do.
We'll come back to how people can help out in a minute, but during the tour, you're also, according to the plans, you're going to be visiting local neighbourhoods and a local Oxfam community. How do you think that will compare to what you've done in the past? I mean, obviously, you guys love to do the ground level. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. I think if we're comparing it to Kenya, I'm hoping it won't be so much shock value. I have heard that in Cuba the kids are well looked after, and we are going to visit 2 orphanages while we're there, and I think hopefully rebuild one of their playgrounds. But it's just so much fun getting out into the community like that. We just play club rugby, but I think when we go over there we feel like pretty big rock stars, so that's always nice.
They do. They love it. They love the attention.
Yeah.
They love getting something new, something different, and they really do embrace what we found in Kenya and Fiji. They really embrace the concept of what we're trying to do, and just they open their arms and let us into their community, which is great from an outsider's point of view to feel that welcoming.
They're always so welcoming. You know, come in for lunch, come in for dinner, all that sort of thing. They just make you feel really special. And getting that in touch with the kids, when we come back to our own lives, I know myself, if something's hard here, it's nothing compared to what those kids go through every day. So it's just a reminder of how lucky we are, and it's really something special that we can do with rugby. It's just a footy tour, but at the end of the day, it just changes our lives and their lives so much, so it's good.
Well, you talk about it sort of changing your lives. Do you feel like it enhances your rugby community as well? I mean, just the fact that you go and you help and directly help, not just donate money in a telethon. You're actually going there and help. Does it give Warringah and your wider community at large just a bit of extra?
Definitely, I find it by directly going and helping a community overseas. Ironically enough, strengthens our own community, not just in the club, but in the local region. And
we are a community club. Always trying to do things within the community. And I think since we got back from Kibera, we've raised, along with schools like Wakehurst Primary School, from players and supporters, raised over $30,000 since we've been back, just to put towards funding there. So I think when we do things like this, we get out into the community, and then the community always also gives back to us, and then that in turn helps on these tours with these children and the people over there that are suffering.
We also find, Patrick, that we're not a wealthy club. Well, I don't think they would mind me saying the first grade match payment was $250, which is at the bottom end, if not the bottom of the Shoot Shield teams. There's plenty of subbies clubs that pay more. We don't play for the club for the money. We play because it is our community, and the club provides this structure of the touring to develop yourself as a person as well as a player, and we're thankful for that. We really are, and we feel that we're not angels by any stretch of the imagination.
Definitely
not. But if we can do something, it's better than doing nothing. And we're not just taking, we're giving. And it's got to be something that's good.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of this tour, in terms of how it's different in what you're taking over, Kenya, obviously, as you mentioned before, Ryan, huge focus on books. I mean, trying to teach English and encourage literature. But obviously, Cuba, just the simple fact that they don't speak English, that's not really going to help them, is it? Okay. So what are you taking over this time that's going to enhance the local community there?
We've just got as much sporting equipment as possible. Through our fundraising efforts, through barbecues and working bees and that, we've raised a lot of money to buy a load of new balls, not just rugby balls, but basketball, soccer balls, because not everyone plays rugby, and we've got to appreciate that.
Well, we can sort of understand, I guess. Yeah.
But when we asked them specifically what things do you want, stationery came up. So as you can understand it, pens, pencils, anything handy for that. But also the strange request that we sort of shook our head at for a while was the spices. They want dry spices. We're having a bit of a battle trying to work out how we're going to get them there. Yeah. But apparently the food in Cuba is pretty ordinary through the embargoes and whatnot. And they not only can use the spices themselves, but they can sell them to make a bit of coin. So we're in the process of working out how we get them there.
It'll be an interesting smuggling battle with customs. But
yeah, it'll be very interesting.
Now, obviously, let's talk about the rugby, which we haven't done that much
rugby,
of.
Yeah.
But during the tour, you're going to be playing 2 games against the Havana Championship side, which I understand is quite their version of the Shoot Shield or Queensland Premier Rugby, and the Cuban national team. Let's talk about that. First game. You be pumped?
The boys will be pretty tired, I think.
Yeah, we'll be exhausted.
But, from the flight over. But yeah,
just the flight over.
Be very exciting. The first game is the club side, as you said, and then to build up towards the Cuban national team. I guess we don't really know anything about them, other than we have heard they're very excited. One of the Canadian teams has donated all their kit, so they've got a new kit for the game, and we've heard that the Castro family are going to be coming down to the second game. One newspaper article reported that we will get to meet Fidel Castro at the game, but
I did read that, yeah. That should be an interesting...
I don't think he'll be there. I think he's a little bit indisposed in hospital.
I think a few of the boys will be getting a lot of likes on their Facebook photos if they can get a photo with Fidel. So that'd be pretty awesome. But and they also told us he played second row in his rugby days. So, and Che Guevara used to play rugby as well. So it's not, when you think rugby, you don't think Cuba, but I think they've got a pretty strong history. And I think, Argentina aren't far away. They're going to be big, they're going to be strong, and they'll be so hungry to beat us, which is awesome. It'll be great.
One thing you can guarantee is they'll be proud, like anyone would be playing for their nation. They're proud people. They really are. And we've lucky enough that one of our former players, Adrian Skeggs, former Wallaby, he spent a bit of time in the Caribbean as the IRB developer, and he's recently helping us out by trying to get the IRB involved and again showcase what rugby can be to the Cuban people. As baseball is no longer in the Olympics anymore, there's a void there for the Cuban people, and the Cuban rugby want rugby to fill that void. So it's a bit of another one of those ambassadorial roles for rugby as well as the humanitarian effort, trying to promote the game.
You're in the clubhouse at the moment, and we're talking to Ryan and Edward from the Warringah Rugby Club about their upcoming tour to Cuba. Guys, so I guess before we wrap up, obviously, how can people help? I mean, can people donate money? Where's the best option for people to give a hand to you guys?
As we mentioned before, now that after Hurricane Sandy, the sort of targets have changed for our way of helping. An easy way to help is just to go onto the Warringah Rugby Club website, which is warringahrugby.com.au. They can go onto there and it'll give you details on how to just donate money. They can also ring the club on 997 8277. Get in contact with them. If you've got anything to donate, we'll take anything like clothes, sports gear, and again, that big one was the spices. Maybe if you've got any ideas of how we can smuggle them in, that would help too.
If you're a Cuban authority listening right now, nothing sus is going to happen. So.
So just please jump on the website and get on there and donate, or just give us a hand in any way you can. If you don't feel like you can give money, just give the club a call and see what way you can help, because there's lots of different things that we're doing within the community to get over there.
We've done a lot of barbecues and
I would imagine.
And so on.
Yeah. Turbo ate a few of the profits.
Love a sausage.
Nothing wrong with that.
But it's important to let the community know that every person that has bought a sausage sandwich or bacon egg roll, everyone's contributed to it, and we would like to thank them. And thank them for taking interest in what we're doing. It's not something we shout about a lot, but it's something we feel proud about, and we do love the fact that the community gets involved.
Edward and Ryan, thank you very much for coming into the Clubhouse today. You guys are doing a fantastic thing, and hopefully people will donate and give you guys a hand, because you're certainly doing a lot of good. And we look forward to talking to you once you get back from Cuba to see not only how the rugby went, but how you managed to lend a helping hand as well. But thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Patrick.
Well, thanks very much, Patrick. Really appreciate the time.
We hope everyone gets back from Cuba.